finally get round to drawing Kid Eternity after drawing. I drew a few other chapters of stuff for Crisis magazine for the English company Fleetway. Finally got round to putting marks on paper for Kid Eternity, and I had to work out how I was going to approach it. I tried out two distinctly different styles on the work I'd done for the UK, and neither of them I considered actually worked. They were okay, but I wanted to do something else. And I was also largely influenced by, I guess I'd seen Dave McKean's work. I was already a huge Bill Sienkiewicz fan. And then Dave McKean came along, Violent Cases, and I guess he'd just done Black Orchid was coming out, and I suppose it was the format. Black Orchid was a prestige book. It's like a 3-issue prestige mini series, and that was exactly what Kid Eternity was going to be. So in my mind, it was like, oh, this is what they want. They didn't say it had to be painted. It could have been line work with tints or whatever, I guess. But instantly, I took it upon myself to paint it, even though I had no idea how to really do that. And I was heavily influenced by Dave McKean and several others actually. George Pratt actually cropped up in that book as well. And, oh God! But I mean, the thing about that, I mean, Dave uses a lot of photo reference, and he's very good at using it. And I didn't have the sense to actually shoot any of that myself. Experimented with video cameras, but I was only like filming myself. So I was learning how to try and watercolor stuff, and yeah, that was insane. I really like to try and make a rod for my own back when I work. It doesn't even occur to me I'm doing it, but I won't go for the most obvious route because I'm a little dumb that way. And it's still true to this day because nobody told me to try and take on any of Mike's style for Hellboy. That was all my choice. And it would have been a whole lot easier doing something else. It really would. But there you go.
So for the viewers, we talked about a little offline there. How did you get involved with Hellboy?
Okay, I have been talking over the years with Scott Alley. Various projects were talked about. What was one of them? Oh, Millennium. There's talk of a Millennium comic, and I think got as far as doing one sample page. I guess I penciled the page, made up a little silly story in one page, and Sean Phillips inked it. That's all that exists somewhere anyway. And nothing happened with that, obviously. But every time Scott and I talked, we'd talk about Hellboy. That led on to doing like a pin-up piece for the Corpse in the Chained Coffin trade paperback. That was great. That meant I got my first bit of Hellboy artwork. That was the payment. I did my piece, and you get paid. You get to pick a page of Hellboy.
Wow, that's not too bad.
It took me forever to choose one because by the time I finally tied it down to pages, they'd all gone. Yeah. So how about this one? No, that's gone. How about this one? That one's gone. I would have loved anything anyway.
Sure.
And it was a more than fair trade. So that was the and of course one of the other things that got discussed was the possibility of a Lobster Johnson miniseries. Lobster Johnson obviously being a spin-off of Hellboy.
Yep.
Never happened. I did see Mike at San Diego a few years later, and we chatted for a while, and his comment on it was something along the lines of oh yeah, I kind of remember that, and that was that.
Must have made you feel great.
And no, he's just like that. He's just like that. The thing is, Mike he's talking to you, but he's always having no ideas at the same time anyway. In fact, very often when we discuss scripts,
sure,
I can hear him. He's talking. He's telling me the story. And you want me to sign that? Yeah. Sorry. That's okay. Thank you so much. There you go. An extra O in my name on that one. Cheers. I keep forgetting how to write my name. I've already signed a T-shirt. Very pretty young girl came up with a T-shirt with my picture on it, and I did the thing that I hate that publishers do, or websites for that matter. Be careful. I spelled my own damn name wrong. Damn fool.
That's what it makes it rarer. This is when he started losing his mind.
Oh no, that's a way back. That's definitely a way back. Anyway, so yeah, what the hell was I talking about?
He kind of remembered you.
Oh yeah, he kind of remembered. We just talked about other stuff. It wasn't a big deal. I wasn't like challenging him on it or anything.
Right.
I was just like interested. Anyway, flash forward a few more years, and I see the ads in the press for a new Hellboy book, Darkness Calls, to be drawn by Leva Mayho. And my immediate reaction was very much like, oh wow, I would have loved to have drawn that. No, it's like, it's actually kind of more, I wanted to draw that, and I don't know why I thought this, because it was like, I wanted to draw that, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty weird, really. And then, and it's no disrespect to Lee whatsoever, it's like, but I don't want anybody else to draw it anyway. And I'd actually given an interview with, I think it's Sequential Tart, years back, it's still out there online, and I think they asked one of those, like, what would your dream job be? Sort of questions, and I just said Hellboy, but I don't want anybody else to draw it apart from Mike. So, that thought was still very much there. It was the book I liked, it was the book I bought. It was the book I would have carried on buying, even when I'd stopped buying every other book.
Right.
My buying was going down rapidly, I just find it hard.
On the way out the door.
Yeah. Very much, really. Anyway, so how was that? Then a year or so, it might have been much later. I know it took a while for Lee to get around to drawing it, but he spent about a year drawing the first issue or something. It's just what I've been told. And then I had an email from Scott, and he says, hey, really want to talk to you about something. You available? And I was like, yes. It's like 11 at night my time.
Did you have an idea that...
I actually genuinely had an inkling, which is really sounds unbelievably conceited. It really is. And so Scott calls and he says, hey, so how do you feel about drawing Hellboy? And I'm pretty sure I blurted up, I knew you were going to ask that. I was fairly crazed at the same time. And long conversation with Scott, followed by a long conversation with Mike, wherein he laid out, this is what's going to happen. Oh, more to this. What I didn't know is, leading up to this, and the whole conversation was like, can we get Duncan? No, he's too busy. Maybe that happened, maybe that didn't happen, I don't know. But Mike had been talking to Glenn Murakami, animation designer, worked on like Batman Beyond, and I guess Ben 10 and all sorts of other stuff. Great artist. Mike had been talking to him about who should draw Hellboy, and Glenn suggested me, which is a huge compliment in itself, because I love Glenn's work. So yeah, they called me, and I said yeah. And the only downside being I was already attached to a book. I was drawing a book for Vertigo called Faker, written by Mike Carey, which is something I actually really wanted to do, really wanted to work with Mike. He's a great writer and a really nice guy. And I'd laid out the first issue, I think, to all the figures, and was just about to get around to the background. I was laying out the second issue even. And I didn't even really need to think about it. I didn't want to upset anybody, but I've turned down stuff before because I've been committed elsewhere that I really regretted. But this was a big deal, a really big deal. This was Hellboy. This is my favourite book. So it was like, sorry Mike, I know what I'm going to do anyway. Scott's all, take your time, it's a serious decision. Because it's very much like, we want you to draw either one book, depends on your availability. So like if you're available now, we want you to do 3 books. If you can't do that, we want you to commit to 2 books after you finish doing what you're doing. And all I could think of was like, I don't want somebody else to come on before I come on. I want to be the guy to go in there. So that was pretty much it, really. I didn't call or email DC or Vertigo, I should say, or anybody else. Immediately, I did leave it till the next day at least. It didn't go down very well, not surprisingly. I felt really bad for Mike Carey. He was pretty upset about it. But hey, he ended up with Jock drawing the book, so can't really complain there, really. I mean, Jock was always been, you know, he was new, but he was already high profile because of the attention Losers was getting. So yeah, rang Scott back, said, yeah, I'm on board. I mean, I was already on board. Just a formality. And then I had lots of sleepless nights trying to work out what the hell I was going to do. Yeah, it's like realizing the enormity of what I'd taken on, really, I guess.
Well, that is an incredible venture going into the Hellboy series.
Yeah. I mean, I knew exactly what I was letting myself in for, because I knew how I felt about anybody else drawing it. And I thought, well, I would give any other guy doing it a hard time. So, and sure enough, I mean, I did the thing you shouldn't do. I went on Google, and I saw there was some hate out there immediately, and it was not quite the level of with the Phantom Menace. George Lucas raped my childhood. I hate that shit. I really do. But there was some opinionated people out there who made their feelings known.
Yeah.
So screw them. But I knew how they felt.
Right.
You know. I knew I was going to be taking on the slings and arrows and, be judged against Mike. And no one should be judged against Mike Mignola, because you're not going to come out well. So, but still, I figured I'd screw it up, I might screw it up less than anybody else, just because I was obsessed enough as he was already.
Right.
Which is kind of
you felt it was your destiny.
I was really trying not to say that.
It's okay.
The Back to the Future thing is like, Hellboy, you are my density. Yeah. And thus began the beginnings of me making a new rod for my own back. I'm taking on a little of Mike's style and blending it with my own and trying to come up with something new. And that was tough. That was weird.
But it's extremely complimentary. I mean,
well, thank you.
Hand in hand, it's like, you know that a creator of something that special, when they give it to another artist and entrust it completely, that transition is just really, really smooth. That really was my aim. It really was my aim. I wish I could put a little bit more of myself in there, but the thing we discovered as I was drawing it anyway, there's a way to draw Hellboy. There's a way to tell a Hellboy story. So on the one level, I was trying to take care of the surface of that, like blend it with, keep my own line work in there and the way I draw figures and whatever, but keep the atmosphere of the books, keep that intact. That was really important to me because it's one of the things I love. But it was more than that. It was Mike and I have different ways of telling stories, and it became more and more apparent. Now, Mike had actually already drawn a lot of layouts or little thumbnails for Lee. Yeah.
I had, in fact, when the first scripts arrived, I had 4 scripts completely, 4 complete scripts, all handwritten, and they had little thumbnails drawn all over them. And then I went in and added stuff and changed stuff, which I don't think I even realized, because I'm so used to doing that.
I was going to ask how collaborative it was, but I guess you just didn't care.
I mean, I care. I cared intensely. But the thing is, it's like the guys I work with.
No, Mike should have done this. We'll fix that.
No, it's... Whoa. Hey, I'm losing my shit here. Give me a second. Thank you.
Yep.
I've got too many books here. Hang on. In fact, I'm going to put one of those down.
So you weren't thinking, Mike, you tried, I'll help you out here.
Yeah, Mike, this is how you do it. So wasn't thinking that. I suppose I was trying to put a little of my storytelling in there as well. But what I was doing was adding beats that Mike didn't see. I mean, as much as I'd read Hellboy for years, and thought I had an understanding of what Mike was doing, it was like I was about to embark on like a 5-6 year course on this showed me a whole lot more Mike's thinking, which was fascinating. It was great. I mean, it was really simple stuff at first, apart from me adding in panels, which Mike was incredibly tolerant of, and only asked me to change certain things, but I knew it was going to be like that. He's an artist, and here's the thing. It's Hellboy
Hellboy is Mike Mignola's baby. It's his thing, and if he says no, it doesn't work like that, he's right. It doesn't work like that. That's just the way it is. It's not an arbitrary editorial decision to just change that because I feel like it. And I've experienced that in the past, and it's as irritating as all hell. The beating heart of the ego screams, I'm a visual storyteller, I know this shit, and you know, who are you to tell me? Anyway, yeah, it's stuff we just worked out as we went along. Mike adapted the way he wrote. He gradually stopped doing the layouts, and I would present my own layouts, and I would introduce things he hadn't thought of before. I mean, we draw very differently, regardless of the style I added.
So did it become more of a symbiotic kind of thing after a period of time?
Yeah, I mean, there were a few frustrating moments when there'd be like one-page an issue later on where we'd come to a sticking point where Mike was saying, no, like this, no, like this, and I would have to say, Mike, just draw the layout how you want it. You obviously have a very specific thing in your mind, and he was really, really reluctant to do this because on the one hand, he didn't want to dictate to me how the work looked,
right?
Because I was the guy drawing it, but on the other hand, he really wanted it told. He had a very specific thing he was trying to get across, and I wasn't getting it from the script. It wasn't, it's obviously something that he draws layouts for himself. This is how he writes. He draws visually, and
when you have such a stylized artwork like that,
but he just wasn't showing them to me really, essentially, and I could really tell. I could see the layouts very often in my mind's eye that he was doing, or something very close to it at least.
Yeah.
And then I'd do something different. But he wasn't providing them for me. I'd go my own way a little bit. I'd try things. If it worked, if I was just doing, just rough layouts, it didn't matter. I would change them. That's the thing. That was the gig. It was like I'd try my thing and Mike liked it. He'd say, yeah, that's cool. That's works. I wouldn't have done anything like that, but okay. Or that doesn't work. But yeah, just those odd times. It's like, Mike, draw the damn thing, then I'll redraw it, which is kind of what he's trying to get out of it in the first place. But he can't completely let go of that visual thing, obviously.
Right.
Why would he?
But now you're part of the family,
Yeah, I guess. It's nice. It's nice to, I feel like, I've done it's like a solid 20 issues worth of stuff there, and other elements of it there.
Yeah, but I mean, if it comes down to it, Mike could give you a call on the phone and say, hey, Duncan, I need you with me.
Yeah, that's right. And apart from anything else, I mean, spoiler alerts, Mike brought Hellboy into this world, and I took him out of it. So, okay, it doesn't really change things. Well, it does, but that's pretty cool. I couldn't believe I got to draw that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Duncan, thank you so much for your time.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. Appreciate it.